Defining our kaupapa, New Zealand's role in the future of global food production. Firstly, the definition of kaupapa. It is a Māori concept that sets out principles and ideas that can act as a foundation for action. It is human nature to want change and to want to make things better. I personally am a big picture person. I'm curious about the future and I'm a bit of an idealist. For me, having a kaupapa means having a guiding star, a call to action that connects with hearts and minds, that speaks to all involved in a way that gives a clear sense of purpose. So, at the start of my Nuffield process, I went around and spoke to many people in the industry to try and really get a clear sense of how we could accurately describe the situation for New Zealand agriculture today. What could or should the future look like? And how are we going to get there? I found no convergence of thought in any of these areas, and in fact, more often than not, divergent or opposing views. And I think this is the key challenge for our sector. Today I will present a framework for how I think we can create and deliver a kaupapa for New Zealand agriculture. And I will also give my ideas for what direction I think we should head in. This strong kaupapa created a high level of energy and purpose within their sector. It united industry around a key message so that it didn't matter who I was talking to, they were telling me the same story. And most importantly, it enabled difficult decisions and trade-offs to be made. Their kaupapa for each country reflected the geographic and historical situation and the challenges and opportunities they faced as a nation. For Ireland, their kaupapa is to be the global leader in sustainable food production systems, backed up by market insights and a certification system. This mantra was developed prior to the establishment of Origin Green. There is a broad and deep agenda behind that brand. For the Netherlands, their kaupapa is in the adaptation of innovation in global supply chains and processing. So the Dutch import a range of products from all parts of the world, and then they process and re-export high-value food products around Europe. So the Dutch have identified an arbitrage proposition where they have the knowledge and networks to produce food in low-cost countries and then utilise those production systems and supply chains to create value. Israel is a global leader in agri-tech innovation with a focus on resource use efficiency and selling that technology and expertise to the world. And Singapore has set itself up as a commodity trading hub for Asia, attracting food and agricultural multinationals to process and trade through the small island nation. Chile is setting itself up to be one of the most internationalised food producing countries by attracting international best practice, networks and joint venture investment. And Chile in particular is targeting returns from seasonality of production, selling high value products into the Northern Hemisphere. I found that each of these countries, they all had a set of factors in common that I put together in a framework as to what created and supported their. Firstly, there needs to be a burning platform for change, which could come from a particular challenge or opportunity that presents itself. Secondly, the way in which the country responded to that challenge was shaped by the culture or heritage of that country. And these two factors together provided a why for each country's kaupapa. And a key message of my Nuffield report was the importance of establishing that why as a first step. As an example of a burning platform, the Netherlands, a lack of land forced the Netherlands to find ways to grow production offshore. The Netherlands has 1/6 of the land of New Zealand, but 4 times the population. Yet they are the second largest agricultural exporter in the world. Singapore and Israel face similar burning platforms and needing to develop an economic base. Israel is a new country and Singapore is a developing economy, both with extremely limited natural resources and difficult geopolitical situations. Chile and Ireland both faced a need at different times for economic diversification. So Ireland following the boom and bust of their building sector, and Chile following the decline of copper prices. And this drove these countries to have a conscious push towards development of their agriculture sectors. So Ireland have an advantage in that the UK and EU markets are on their doorstep for the majority of their products, effectively a domestic market. And that means they can focus solely on their premium products when looking to export further afield. With respect to culture and heritage, the Dutch and Israelis are born innovators. It's in their DNA to be the best in the world at something, and each country has focus and intellectual property in certain areas. The Dutch have leveraged their history of international colonial connections to develop global supply chains, and they've done it in particular products that they've focused on, such as seeds and flowers. Whereas Israel has developed expertise in agri-tech that can be applied across a range of products, but with the sole aim of producing more from less, such as drip irrigation. The Israeli culture is one of entrepreneurship, challenging the status quo, and based on the notion that necessity is the mother of innovation. It also helps that helping people produce food is a good way for Israel to try and make some friends. The Irish, as we know, are very good storytellers, and they have an ability to make others feel part of something. They have diaspora all around the world, and so have developed connections and an understanding of other cultures in a way that many other countries have not. To enable each country to move forward, leadership commitment and investment in systems over a long period of time was critical. This does not happen overnight. These two factors are needed to provide encouragement and also certainty in the cause, and what I described as the how for each kaupapa. Leadership can come from various sources, including government, industry bodies, research institutes, or the private sector. In Ireland, it was driven by a visionary agricultural minister. In the Netherlands, leadership is very collaborative across government, industry, and research. And this connection was first established when the Dutch needed to create land through the use of dikes, referred to as the Dutch polder model. And it's still their base of their leadership today is very collaborative. Leadership must be supported by investment. This could either be in hard systems such as infrastructure, and what we've seen in Singapore and the Netherlands is they've invested heavily in ports and airports so that they can source and process and re-export a large volume of product. It can also be in soft systems such as institutions and funding programs. So Chile has set up centres of excellence for various sectors to encourage the transfer of international expertise and best practice. And Chile also has extremely supportive foreign direct investment frameworks to support their kaupapa. Israel will spend 4% of GDP on R&D, and this is the engine of their innovation and entrepreneurship. It's the highest rate in the world and compares with 1% in New Zealand. Ireland have invested significantly to gather market intelligence and have put in place the Origin Green brand and sustainability program to support their kaupapa. So Ireland's food industry body, Board Beer, has over 12 offshore offices, even though they export half the agricultural value of New Zealand. It demonstrates their commitment to understanding their markets. And now to New Zealand. I think we have been faced with burning platforms in the past that led to a kaupapa for that time. In the 1970s, the UK joined the EU, forcing us to look for new markets. Our industry boards took on a leadership role at that time, searching the world for new markets, and our government invested efforts in gaining preferential access through a network of free trade agreements. And New Zealand now leads the world in meeting market access requirements. In the 1980s, we faced the removal of subsidies. Our cooperatives provided leadership in sending market signals back to farmers. And our government and farmers invested heavily in R&D that enabled productivity gains to remain cost competitive on the world market. New Zealand now has the most efficient and productive pastoral farmers in the world. It could be argued that we have not faced the same sort of burning platform since then. Things have been going okay to the point we haven't been forced to change. But to the future, I think we face a number of knowns and unknowns, and I think we have some hard decisions to be made. Knowns include the fact that food systems globally are broken. And by that, I mean they're not operating in a way that is good for people or good for the planet. An over-reliance on external inputs and exploitation of natural resources has left us vulnerable to the impacts of climate change, and I mean globally. The retrenchment of globalisation and a rise in protectionism creates risk for heavily export-dependent nations such as New Zealand. Unknowns include the rate and direction of technological advances, the establishment of new business models and disruptions, such as changing consumer trends and the rise of alternative proteins. Out of all of these factors, what could be our burning platform? I think it is impossible at this point in time not to label climate change as the issue that requires our attentions and efforts above all others. The impact that our response to this challenge will have on our lives and those of generations to come cannot be compared to any other. The food system is responsible for around 1/4 of global emissions. Red meat and dairy are the biggest contributors per gram of protein produced. I think that at this point in time, if we don't acknowledge the problems that climate change will cause and look for opportunities to change, then it's easy to be seen as having our heads in the sand. New Zealand's agricultural emissions are half of our total emissions, the highest rate in the OECD. The opportunity is there for us to be global leaders in the transition to low emissions food production. We are the ones that are in the best position to need to make this transition first. While we will be first movers, the world will require the knowledge and technology to transform more broadly in the future and be fast followers. Our most valuable asset is and will continue to be in our intellectual property. And I think there's an opportunity to focus on weightless exports of technology and expertise as a way for New Zealand to grow sustainably within the bounds of our natural resources. I think New Zealand has the right culture and heritage to respond to this challenge. We are adventurers and pioneers. We are independent, competitive, humble, and innovative. Our farmers are the best in the world at coming up with innovative solutions to complex problems. I also think we can tackle this problem as a small, well-networked country, bringing in other innovative sectors such as energy and transport to collaborate on the solutions. So where will leadership come from? I propose the development of a new institution incorporating all existing industry bodies and Māori agribusiness to lead this kaupapa. A strong, united voice is missing in the New Zealand food and agriculture sector, and I think change will be impossible without it. What systems are needed? Investment and an increased role of government will be needed to drive this transformation. Significant R&D and innovation investment is needed to change the way in which food is grown and the type of food we grow. There will be land use and consumption change. A new focus for our education and training systems. the right financial and economic measures in place to incentivise and assist this transition. And we will need better networks with other countries to ensure our new knowledge is Go Global ready. While the future is uncertain, I think we do have the power through our actions or inactions that we take today to shape our own destiny within that uncertainty. To make the difference that is needed will require concerted and coordinated energy. Let us be the first to really see the light. Becoming the world's best in low emissions food production is the most valuable kaupapa New Zealand could aspire to.